Should you be prepared for the oncoming onslaught that might be making its way this year, 2024? Are you prepared? Are you prepared for the turbulence that seems to be heading our way? This, I think, is the year of the Great Awakening, the big awareness of the great harm that's been done to so many people. I think people are going to, en masse, begin to realise that there has been some dreadful things that perhaps the government, the kind, nice, benevolent government that we've all believed was there for our benefit, is actually perhaps not quite so kind, nice, benevolent or philanthropic. And maybe it actually is an agenda that they have that they haven't actually admitted to or told us, with their 15-minute cities and their LTNs and their digital IDs and their CBDCs and all their nonsense that they're throwing at us, their surveillance, and all the things that I've been talking about in the show that I know most of us are aware of. And then you look outside at the great unwashed and you think, they're not really aware of it. They're just sort of sleepwalking into oblivion. Are you prepared? Are you prepared for it? You might be. You might be one of those people who absolutely prepared. You know where the water is should the water facilities go down. You've got a generator in the back garden just in case you need to get some electricity. Perhaps you've got solar panels on the roof. You might even have your own wind turbine. Perhaps you live off-grid. Perhaps instead of using electricity at night time, like myself and the lovely Julia, you might use candles and just be stocking up just in case something goes a bit awry. Maybe as people begin to realise what's happened and there's mass panic, maybe you are preparing yourself with a few double bolts on your front door, just in case those nice, kind people who come over in rubber boats are being given weapons in the hotels that they're residing in, and suddenly martial law is sent out and they're there to make sure there's no panic on the streets. I don't know. The thing is, we're in that sort of, what is actually going on? I've heard reports, and maybe you can verify this, that suddenly everybody is going to be conscripted to go and help fight against Russia for the Ukraine. Now, that might be something that you actually applaud, or it may be something that you think, hang on a minute, the conscription days of the 1940s, that's long gone. I'm not going to come out there and fight for my country. I don't believe in that war. I don't believe that it's right. I don't want to pay my taxes if I am funding the death of men, women and children. A lot of people are thinking that. Perhaps you're prepared not to engage with the council anymore, seeing as they are employing all these weird things that the government seem to want, the 5G radiating our brains. Maybe when April comes and that comedy bill lands, you might be preparing yourself for a legal battle against why it is unlawful to pay such a tax, or any tax, seeing as we are taxed to the hilt, as I reported on the other day. Well, if you are thinking about preparing, I just wanted to show you a couple of places. Now, I've not been asked to do this. They don't even know I'm going to do this. I know that the two places I want to show you are on our side. They are awake, if you couldn't use that. They know what's going on. They have gone down the rabbit hole and they are aware. And they're doing great things to help people. And I want to help them in my show. So you might be thinking, what happens, if the government collapses, if there is anarchy on the streets, if there is a nightmare situation, if we run out of food, as the WEF desperately wants us to sort of get rid of farmers, and suddenly, this year and next year, what will we eat? You might be thinking, crikey, what will we do? Maybe I ought to be stocking up on something, and maybe that is a good idea. And over here, let me show you one place that might be... there's a lot of places, and I'm not suggesting you don't go to anywhere that's convenient, of course, but one place that I have actually yesterday made an order, which is what made me think, I might want to tell other people about this, is the Good Food Project. And I know Steve, who runs it, and he is, as I say, well awake, and he is there to try and help people. And I want to help him. I will leave the link in the description, goodfoodproject.co.uk. And here you can see that he is promoting people like Barbara O'Neill, of course, and Charles Dowding, No Dig, so you can get your skills together to grow your own. and various other things, but also, of course, food, which might be the most essential. You might be buying all sorts of bits and bobs. You can get veg from him as well, which is quite handy. There we are, look at that, some broccoli, lovely, and some bread, and meat. People are looking for organic food and good quality stuff, so here we go, where you can buy good stuff, British stuff, and all sorts of additional eco-friendly, if you want that sort of thing, or at least not containing all the horrible nasties that so many things, even on the old beauty products and the teeth, cleaning your teeth with all of this stuff. So I just wanted to show you there is, so not only food, but also other things, but plenty of other good quality stuff, and they do make sure that they verify that it is all quality stuff. And so that's one place. But of course, as I say, you may not. But you may be thinking, what should I do? And I think, those things that last a long time, rice and pulses and tins, just for emergency purposes. It might be a good idea just to have a cupboard aside that you can just fill up with some stuff, just in case, the power goes off. Because what would happen if the power went off for a month and you were thinking, can't get online, I can't talk to anybody, I can't order online. If it goes off, if you've got a little emergency cupboard full of stuff, might be just handy. And if you've got a few double bolts on the door, it might stop other people trying to break in to grab your food. I'm not saying they will. I don't want to frighten anybody. I'm just saying, are you prepared? Is it worth preparing? It might be. I don't have any specific intel, as they say, as to what's going on. There does seem to be a lot of rumours out there, and I don't want people to get worried and then be surprised when something happens. It's just taking simple precautions. I think, though, if things did kick off, there are enough now groups and people who would be out there as signposts, as helpers, as people who would say, look, we're building that community. Come and join the community. It's now time to get this absolutely 100% into operation. And so instead of actually there being panic on the streets, and there might be a little bit of that, I think these people will come forward and say, hey, and wave the flag and say, come and join us and we'll get organised. We won't need the likes of Number 10 and all those people down there to try and organise us, because we can do it much better ourselves. Money, of course, might be a bit of a worry, and you may go down the old digital line of money with Bitcoin and various other cryptocurrencies, and I will have somebody talking about that again on the show. Or you may be somebody who prefers not a digital version, but actually something genuinely real, as in you can dig it out of the ground and hold it up and it glistens in the light, such as gold. And another place that is definitely worth looking into is blairbullion.co.uk, if I've got that pronounced right. And they do the gold and silver, very competitive rates, and I'm just flashing it up. I'll leave the link in the description, and you can decide whether you want to buy some gold or silver for a rainy day. Maybe fiat currency is not the place to put your stuff in. You may want to just secure some of your savings, because if the power goes off and you can't access your bank, what's the point of having it in digital if you can't access it? Now, I'm not saying it is. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not privy to anything. I don't have a television. I don't watch the big national narrative. I don't read the national papers. I'm afraid to say that I just gain my information from, I'm not afraid to say this at all, I gain my information from my viewers who send me emails, of course, and some stuff online. But you've got to be so careful, because at the moment it does seem there are a lot of players out there pushing what I would call fear porn, and bad news to keep our vibrations down. And it is interesting how the normal psyche of somebody is actually, they're more prone to go and, oh golly, I want to read the bad news just in case it affects me, rather than actually looking at the good news, which could be a lot more beneficial. And it keeps your vibrations high, and it keeps your energies up, so that you are there courageous, positive, brave, fighting the good fight, rather than fearful and put. But that doesn't mean to say that it isn't a good idea to just double check that you've got enough to survive on, that you checked out maybe some of the lawful people to get remedies, to get your notices, so you understand how you can push back against those people who bang on the door and try and extract money from you unlawfully, that you've got some food, that you perhaps got some money in some form, whether gold, silver or whatever you want. Your money might actually be tins of tomatoes for all I know. When people are hungry, food is the number one thing. If you've got an allotment, or you've got a back garden, or you've got access to some land, you may be thinking, I need to make sure I get planting this year, and I certainly would. Just being prepared, I think, for this year ahead is probably a good idea, to do the best you can. But the main thing is to help other people who are perhaps not as prepared and not have not really thought it through, just in case things go a bit weird. I think things might go strange, but they may not go to the extremes that everybody is frightening us. After all, they may have people in hotels with potential mission to quell us and inject us, or make sure that we don't come out of our houses and things like that. But however many there are something like 60 to 70 million of us. So we do still have the numbers. We've got to stay positive and be prepared to get out there and do what we ought to do. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say on this one. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be back, of course, with more monologues and interviews.